A warm greetings to one and all. In this session, let's learn about constructor and types of constructor. Topics to be covered in this session are introduction, needs for constructor, properties of constructor, syntax for constructor, types of constructors, namely default, parameterized, and copy constructor. Finally, let's check out few example programs of about topic. Constructor is a special member function whose task is to initialize the data members of an object of its class. It is special because it has same name as its class. It invokes automatically whenever a new object of its associated class is created. It is called constructor because it constructs the initial values of data members of a class. Next, need for constructors. It is very common for some parts of an object to require initialization before it can be used. Suppose if you are working on 100 objects and default value of a particular data member is needed to be 0, initializing all objects manually will be very tedious. Instead, you can define a constructor function which initializes the data members to 0. Then all you have to do is to declare the object and constructor will initialize the object automatically. Properties of constructor. Constructor should be declared in public scope. They are invoked automatically when the objects are created. They do not have return types, not even void, and they cannot return any values. They cannot be inherited, though a derived class can call the base class constructor. Like other C++ functions, constructor can have default arguments. Constructors cannot be virtual. We cannot refer to their addresses. An object with constructor cannot be used as a member of a union. They make implicit calls to the operators new and delete when the memory allocation is required. Syntax for constructor. So syntax for constructor declaration is class name followed by object name followed by list of parameters ended with semicolon. Constructor can be defined inside the class declaration or outside the class declaration. So the syntax for defining the constructor within the class is class name followed by list of parameters opening curly parenthesis. Then we can have the statements to be executed for constructor ended with curly parenthesis. Next, syntax for defining the constructor outside the class. So class name, scope resolution operator, followed by class name and list of parameters. Then we have open curly parenthesis, followed by statements for the constructor to be executed, ended with curly parenthesis. There are three types of constructors. The first type is default constructor. It does not take any argument, and it is also called as zero argument constructor. The next type is parameterized constructor. It is possible to pass arguments to constructors. So using this constructor, you can provide different values to data members of different objects by passing the appropriate values as arguments. The next type is copy constructor. It is also called as special type of constructor. It takes an object as argument and it is used to copy values of data members of one object to another object. Default constructor does not take any arguments, that is, it has no parameters. It is also called as zero argument constructor. So as soon as object is created, the constructor is called which initializes its data members. So a default constructor is so important for initialization of objects that even if we do not define a constructor explicitly, the compiler will provide the default constructor implicitly. So the syntax for calling the default constructor is class name followed by object name ended with semicolon. We have an example program using default constructor. So here we have defined the class definition for class sample. So using public access specifier, we have declared the variables A, B, C of integer data type. So next we have a function sample. So since the class name and the function name is equal, it is called as a special function which is known as constructor. So inside the constructor, we have assigned the value 10 to the variable A and we have assigned the value 20 to the variable B. So followed by constructor, we have another method named add, which has a return type of void, and this method performs an expression that is A plus B, and the value of the expression is stored in the variable C. Using cout statement, we have displayed the value of the variable c to the user. Let's see the execution of the program. We all know that the execution starts from main function. So here we have created the object C without any argument for class sample. So here default constructor is defined in the class sample is implicitly called to initialize the object C. Since no arguments are provided, the default constructor defined in class sample is initialized with value 10 to the variable A and value 20 to the variable B. The next statement is c.addOf. So here the control moves to the class sample add function where it performs A plus B, that is 10 plus 20 is executed and stored in the variable C. So using cout statement, the value of the variable C is displayed to the user, that is 30 is displayed to the user as shown in the output. So next, return 0 statement. So this is executed and implies the successful execution of the program. So hope you are clear in default constructor. In parameterized constructor, it is possible to pass arguments to the constructor. So using this constructor, you can provide different values to the data members of different objects by passing the appropriate values as argument. So when constructor has been parameterized, the object declaration statement will not work. So we must initialize values as argument to the constructor function when object is declared. This can be done by calling the constructor implicitly. So the syntax is class name, object name, followed by list of parameters within the bracket and ended with semicolon. Let's have an example program for parameterized constructor. So in this example program, we have defined the class definition for class construct. So here we have public access specifier for the variables which we have declared here. So the variables A, B, and C are declared using integer data type. So next we have the function construct. Since the function name and the class name are similar, it is called as special function, that is constructor. So this constructor is having two parameters, that is the variable x of integer data type and the variable y of integer data type. So here we are assigning the value of the variable x to the class variable A and we are assigning the value of the variable y to the class variable B. So next we have a function add with return type void. So here it performs C is equal to A plus B. That is the variable A and B is added and stored in the variable C. Next, using cout statement, we have displayed the value of the variable C to the user. Now let's see the execution of the program. The execution starts from main function. Here we have created the object C with two arguments 5 and 3 for the class construct. When an object C is created, the parameterized constructor is automatically called with the argument specified during the object creation. The parameterized constructor in class construct initialize the member variable A and B with the values passed as argument, that is x and y. Now the next statement is c.add is executed. So now control is transferred to the class construct and add function is executed. Here the expression a plus b is executed, that is 5 plus 3 is added and stored in the variable c, that is 8. Next, using cout statement, the value 8 is being displayed to the user as shown in the output. So now the next statement is return 0. So it has been executed and it implies the successful execution of the program. So hope you are clear in parameterized constructor with this example program. A constructor that is used to create copies of an existing object of a class is a copy constructor. So in this diagram, we have an object. So here, based on the copy of this object, we have created a new object. So this process is called as copy constructor. So copy constructor is mainly used to declare and initialize an object from another object. The process of initializing through a copy constructor is also known as copy initialization. The syntax for copy constructor is, so we have class name as constructor name followed by list of arguments. So in arguments, we have passed the object. So in order to represent the object, first we should have the class name followed by reference of the object. So the reference of the object is denoted by ampersand object name, then followed by statements of the constructor to be executed and ended with closed curly parentheses. The next is syntax for constructor declaration. So here we have class name followed by object name, and we are passing the object as the parameter here. So we have to specify the object name. The next is syntax for initializing through copy constructor. So we can initialize also instead of passing the object as argument. So that statement is done as object name 1 is equal to object name 2. So we have initialized the object name 2 to object name 1. Let's have an example program for copy constructor. We have defined the class definition for class construct. So using public access specifier, we have declared the variables A, B, and C of integer data type. Next, we have defined the default constructor that initialize the variable A to value 10 and variable B to value 20. So next, additionally, we have a constructor which is called as copy constructor. Here we are passing object as a parameter for the constructor. So where object type is of class construct. Then the reference object R is being referred as ampersand R. Then it initializes the member variable A of objects R's member variable, that is R.A. Similarly, the variable B with the value of objects R's member variable, that is R.B. So next we have declared the function add with void return type. So where we perform addition operation of A plus B and assign the value of A plus B to the variable C. Next, using the out statement, we have displayed the value of the variable C to the user. Now let's see the execution of the program. The execution starts from main function. So here we have created the object X with no argument for the class construct. The default constructor is defined in class construct is implicitly called to initialize the object X. Since no argument is provided, the default constructor defined in class sample initialize the value of the variable A with value 10 and the value of the variable B with value 20. Next, we have created the object Y for the class construct. So here we have passed the object X as a parameter. It is called as copy constructor since we have passed object as a parameter. Copy constructor defined in class construct is called implicitly. So here the copy constructor with argument as construct ampersand R, where construct is class type of object R and ampersand R refers to the object R. Then it initializes the value of the variable A with object R's member variable, that is R dot A. Similarly, it initializes the value of the variable B with object R's member variable, that is R dot B. The next statement is X dot add So now control moves to the class constructs add member function. It executes A plus B, that is 10 plus 20. 30 is stored in the variable C. Using cout statement, the value of the variable C, that is 30, is displayed to the user as shown in the output. So next, Y dot add Now the control moves to the class construct, finds the add member function, performs A plus B, that is again 10 plus 20, it is 30, stored in the variable C. Using cout statement, the value of the variable C is displayed to the user as shown in the output. So next, return 0 statement is executed and it implies that the successful execution of the program. So hope you are clear in copy constructor using this example program. Thank you all.